My inner voice says all kinds of things to me, and I used to believe them. You're ignorant, you're lazy, you're lame, you're broken. But then one day something shifted and I realized it was just talking trash to me. And so I stopped buying into it. I'm Nicola, and I'm sure you have a voice inside there, inside your head, just like mine. It says things that seem in the moment to be 100% completely true. It's very convincing. But I also know that it's wrong about you, and I'm going to show you why. That inner voice goes by many names. The inner critic, the judge, negative self-talk, the gremlin, the saboteur, negative Nancy. But whatever name it goes by, it's that voice in your head, that part of your mind that talks to you constantly about what's going on for you, comparing you to impossible standards, constantly finding faults and talking you into playing it safe and staying small. And it does this by talking you down, telling you what's wrong with you and your life, and why what you're thinking about will never work out, no matter what it is. And so the first reason that we know that that inner voice is wrong about you is by looking at where it comes from. And that inner voice arises during childhood. If we struggle to attach to our primary caregivers, if we don't feel safe, if that bond just doesn't work in the way that it should, we develop this as a survival mechanism. It is trying to protect us. It is a defense mechanism. It's trying to protect us from additional emotional pain. When that attachment isn't working, it's very painful, and this inner critic is trying to protect us from further experiences like that, and we carry that into adulthood. The inner voice also has an evolutionary perspective. It serves a purpose when we're living in a tribal society to make sure that we don't step outside the rules, that we don't break the bounds of what's appropriate, because if we do, we risk being thrown out of the tribe, which comes with certain death. But this inner critic gives us an illusion of control, as if we can just keep doing these things, telling ourselves these things, and by preempting the criticism or the failures or the emotional pain, by putting that on ourselves, we avoid having that coming from the outside world. We avoid the punishment or the criticism or the pain that comes from outside. But this inner voice becomes a prison. We end up suppressing our emotions, we sabotage ourselves, our mental health suffers, and it damages our relationships. And the problem comes because we believe it's telling the truth. There are two ways to resist this inner critic. And the first one is something called thought stopping. And this is when we say things like, no, stop, cancel, when that voice starts up in our head. And this is a kind of pattern interrupt. It's a way of breaking the habit of just hearing what it says and buying into it. I know when I first started saying this to my inner critic, it was kind of taken aback. It wasn't used to hearing that from me. So it stopped it in its tracks. And it picked up the rant again pretty soon afterwards, but it was a way of breaking that habit of having that awareness and actually not be willing to take that on board. The other approach is something called thought correcting. This is where we challenge the accuracy of whatever it is that that inner critic is saying to us. And this takes me to the second reason we know that your inner critic is wrong about you. And that is because it's confused. It is conflating feelings with fact. It thinks if you feel a certain way, that means something is true about that situation. So if you're feeling fear, then there is something to be fearful of. But the reality is that feeling something doesn't make it true. Whether you feel shame or guilt or fear or inadequacy, feeling it doesn't mean that that is true about you, that whatever circumstance is connected to, that that's an appropriate interpretation. It's mixing those two things up. The things the inner critic says fall into two main categories. The first one is perfectionism, and this turns into self-hate. And these sorts of things are generally based in things that happened in the past. I did this terrible thing, or the present, I am this terrible thing. And the other category is things around danger and risk. So projecting fear into the future, worrying about things that haven't yet happened. And the language of the inner critic is also quite particular. It tends to talk in generalizations. This is always the way things have been and always will be. It uses absolutes, things like never and always. It uses very harsh words, as I'm sure you've heard many of those very harsh words that it uses with us. It uses comparisons, comparing us to who we were and who we are now, or other people, or other situations, or what we could be. And it uses shame to describe how we fall short. And when it comes to the perfectionism, some of the kinds of things that our inner critic says to us on a regular basis fall into the category of, I'm not enough, I am not smart enough, I am not funny enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not rich enough, all these ways in which we fall short. Or why can't I ever say the right thing? Why can't I ever find a partner? Why can't I ever succeed at this thing? Or I always mess up. I always say the wrong thing. I always put my foot in it. I always mess up this situation and get things wrong, and all the ways that we make mistakes. Or I should do X. I should exercise more. I should eat less. I should go out more often. I should ring my dad more often. All these things that we should do that we're not doing. And this leads me to the third reason that I know that your inner voice is wrong about you, and that is distorted. It exaggerates our flaws to the nth degree, and it minimizes or completely ignores and disregards our skills, our successes, our achievements. Our inner voice has an unbalanced view of us, and that's why we know that maybe it's not telling the truth about us, but maybe we should question what it's saying. And the fourth reason that I know that your inner voice is wrong about you is that it's outdated. It is an echo of the past. It is not an accurate reflection of the current, present moment, because you are amazing and you have done amazing things and you will continue to do amazing things. And one of the best ways that I've found to really see this, to find proof of this, is a practical exercise, a reality check of sorts. And I created one for myself of these many years ago called a brag book. This is my brag book that I created about 14 years ago. And in it, I have written down things that I have achieved, things that are brag worthy. Now, in our culture, we tend to shy away from the idea of bragging because it seems like we're creating an inflated sense of self. But when we have this inner voice that is talking us down so much, we need these kinds of things to remind ourselves that what it says isn't true. So in here, I have a list of things that I have achieved over the years, and I can just come back to this at any time and look at these things and go, oh wow, I did that, that's pretty cool. I also noticed that as I continue with this practice, that it evolved from bragging to gratitude. I was writing down gratitude statements, and I've got a whole video about my gratitude practice and how it changed my life that you might want to watch after this one. But the task is to find examples in your own life of things to brag about, and actually write them down so that you can refer to them when you need to counter that voice that's in your head. You might write down things that you succeeded at in the past. So for my case, I have a story here that I'm incredibly proud of that I can really never talk to anyone about because no one understands. But when I was working as a researcher in a lab, I did a scientific experiment that was very technical, very detailed. And most people did this with a kit, but I went back to first principles and I figured out what I was doing. And I did it with just all the materials we had in the lab. And I got it to work. And I got some results that had never been found before. And I was very proud of that. Again, it's not something I can talk to other people about, but it's something that's in my book and I can go back to that and remind myself, yes, I achieved that thing. It can be things we're proud of. I'm very proud of the fact that I have given birth naturally to two amazing kids. Going through both of those labours was incredibly challenging. It wasn't something necessarily that I enjoyed, but I did it, and I'm very proud of the fact that I did it and in the way that I wanted to. And so that's something that's in my brag book. It can be things that we do really well, skills. I have a great ability to manage finances. I've been managing our finances very carefully for over 12 years, and I'm very proud of the fact that that skill has allowed us to become debt-free. And so I'm very good at managing our finances, and it's really working for us. And that's something that's in my brag book. It can be skills that you have that maybe you like having that no one else is ever going to really care about, but that you're proud of. In my case, I'm very proud of the fact that I know how to herd cows. I grew up on a farm in the Yarra Valley, and from a reasonably young age, I was required to help out with moving the cows from paddock to paddock. And so I know how to handle cows. And it's not a skill that I can ever really use anywhere, but it means that I understand cows and I know how to manage them, and I'm kind of proud of that. And so that's in my brag book. It can be writing down the fact that there are people in your life who care about you. I'm really glad to have friends in my life. I have a handful of friends who actively seek to spend time with me, and I'm very grateful to have people who can see the value that I bring to the relationship, who actually want to spend time with me, and that helps me to counter that voice in my head when it tries to tell me that I'm not likable or any of those kind of things. Having those friends, remembering that they exist and that they value me, is really useful. It's proof that there is something that I offer to the world. It can be things that I'm grateful for, things that you're grateful for in your life. I'm very grateful that I found my husband. I followed my instincts to a party one night and I happened to meet him, and the rest is history, but it's been an amazing history. And so that's in my brag book. That's something that I can come back to and go, yes, that happened, and I'm really grateful that that happened. Or in any of these cases, we can use these past examples as proof of a likely future. We can't ever know what the future is going to hold, but we can say all these amazing things have happened so far. There's a good chance that more amazing things will happen. And it's something I've been practicing saying to myself that I've found really helpful, is to remind myself I was okay yesterday, I'm okay today, and I will be okay tomorrow. And as much as I might struggle sometimes to feel like tomorrow is going to be okay, saying that to myself and using these examples of things that I've written in my brag book has been really helpful to see that there is actually a possibility that tomorrow will turn out okay. And as you evolve this into a gratitude practice, which is what mine evolved into, I have a guide with a bunch of gratitude prompts. So you might want to download that to help you develop that practice. But your gratitude practice doesn't have to be just things you appreciate. I know when I started, I struggled with this idea that it was about appreciation. And I didn't feel very appreciative at that point. So I started writing things instead, things that made me feel good. So I write a list of 10 things that made me feel good, or things that I'm proud of. Like in my brag book, I wrote a list of 10 things in my life right now that I was proud of, or even just things that I like thinking about, whatever they happen to be, whether it's thinking about my garden or thinking about what I've created or things I've achieved, whatever I liked thinking about, I put a list of those things that are just happy things, whatever they are. Yellow flowers, sunny days. A gratitude practice can be very flexible, and you can adapt it to suit your particular needs and to make it something that you actually enjoy doing. But in all cases, you're generating proof, you're capturing proof, you're writing down proof that things are actually okay and they're better than that voice is trying to tell you. And so that voice is wrong about you. You understand now where it comes from, and the fact that it's actually just a defense mechanism, and that it's confused, it's distorted, and it's outdated. And as you do that practical exercise that I laid out for you, you will develop, you'll collect proof that you are okay, you are enough, and that things can turn out well. So I want you to imagine that your inner critic is no longer running the show. What would you do first? Share below. And if you want even more help to develop your gratitude practice, watch this video next. Got questions? Comment below, and I'll see you in the next one.